Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be walking through the process of this painting. Walking while I talk a little bit about my ruminations over 2025, thoughts about 2026, and the painting itself. So let's get started. Just like that, 2025 is over in the blink of an eye. While I have been posting some of my old travel vlogs, which have been in the drought for a long while, I meant to post this video also actually as the first video of the start of the year, but the editing and combing through hours of process videos to just retain things that I thought would be interesting enough for you guys to watch took a bit of time. And I have a bunch of other videos and vlogs in my drafts as well that I hope to upload during the course of the year. So I thought that it would be good to begin this year with a short video on this painting, which took up a lot of my time last year, as well as my thoughts reflecting on 2025 and my hopes for 2026. I really enjoyed my journey and growth as an artist in 2025. It ranged from having my work exhibited to developing a stronger voice as an artist. I got to experiment a lot as I do every year with my 100-day challenge, except maybe this year it was more directed towards creating more cohesive work, I would say. In fact, the inspiration for both my ongoing collections, Pixels and Spirals, started during this year's 100-day challenge. And for that, I am eternally grateful to myself for having done the 100-day challenge. I think 2025 has been important for me as an artist, as it was the first time I was completely mentally free to focus on my craft, having quit my job in 2024. And I think this in turn helped me push my thinking and ultimately my art in new directions. I experimented across visual styles, ideas, themes, and materials as I worked on more focused collections for the first time since I started making art seriously. I think 2025 finally started giving a more concrete form to the effort and journey that I started back in 2023. My consistent efforts with portraiture finally started bearing fruit as the Spirals collection took shape. My effort to step out of my comfort zone of grayscale paintings also started showing color, pun fully intended, as I relied on color massively to get across my themes throughout the Pixels collection. Art has opened up avenues for me to learn, which greatly satisfies the ever eager student in me. I've come to appreciate how art can help me explore facets of myself which might otherwise go unexplored. As I look into 2026, I hope I can continue this momentum and build on it while working on my key collections. Another key part of what makes me me is languages. This year, I added one more to my always hungry polyglot kitty as I took on the challenge of Spanish. I have to admit, however, that Spanish has not been my best performance. I have struggled to stay consistent and I'm low key not even confident with the basics despite having spent 6 months with the language. My issue with Spanish also stems from the fact that I find it maybe a bit similar to English and dismiss all learning thinking that I should get this easily. But surprise, surprise, I absolutely do not. I think I need to fall back to my tried and tested method of consistency over reliance or motivation for any supposed spark of brilliance with languages. So, one of my goals for Spanish in 2026 is to just be consistent with studying it daily, even if only for 5 minutes. I started with writing small paragraphs in Spanish towards this effort. I think I've also struggled with consuming Spanish media. I don't think I've discovered something that I will enjoy other than maybe a bit of music. So any recommendations, please feel free to note them down in the comments for me to follow up with. I have of course had tremendous growth in my other languages, Korean and Japanese. Thanks in a huge part to the wonderful teachers that have had the patience over my countless lapses of memory when it comes to vocabulary, inundating questions over grammar, and a gentleness with while going through my diary entries, which are spiked with errors. I also have to be gracious to myself when it comes to these two languages, as I was fairly consistent with keeping in touch with them. Even while traveling, by listening to YouTube videos and playing around with various apps. When it comes to Korean, however, something that I struggle with is speaking it. So this year I'm actually recording myself while speaking the language, except I don't feel very comfortable looking at my face in the camera while doing so. I mean, you could tell that from my YouTube videos as well, where I rarely ever look into the camera while painting. I really don't know how these influencers do it, honestly. All I feel like doing is bursting out in laughter looking at my face. I would like to think that this is a perfectly normal reaction rather than thinking there's something colossally wrong with me. For Japanese, the target this year is to get on board with my friend the kanji. Sometimes I think that maybe I am a masochist because why does the most difficult part of the language fascinate me the most? But that is my goal for Japanese this year, along with wanting to talk about topics which go deeper than the weather and what I did in a day. Last year was a bit relaxed on the fitness front. After the year that 2024 was, I wanted to give my body time to heal and just recover. I limited my lifting significantly and allowed myself to eat whatever I craved. I am still struggling with some thyroid issues, but we are going to take it in our stride as we look forward to 2026. I have missed lifting a lot though. So I think this year I want to shred a bit and really get back to my earlier fitness levels. I'm also keen to improve my cardio capacity this year. So even though I absolutely abhor running, like absolutely, I suppose I'm going to take it up this year, albeit on the treadmill only. Last year was also a really good year for my writing. Though the start was tough, the first few essays and pieces of poetry took more time than I would be okay admitting. I managed to write some new poetry and was far more consistent with my Substack. I was able to find my love for writing back again, and that truly warmed my heart. Writing and being able to put my thoughts out there seems like a daunting task and a freeing one at the same time. So I want to keep doing more of it. It probably seems like a weird and stupid idea that every time the Earth completes a revolution around the Sun, humans take it as a sign to reinvent themselves. But it is also beautiful that we do choose change, even though it may seem like a daunting ask. These changes may seem benign, but still can create ripples far deeper than their own depth. So, while many things may still continue to be the same, I do hope that some things do change for the better for me and for you. Having talked a little bit about 2025 and 2026, I think this is a good segue into talking about the painting now. Sobaken, which is basically the small joys and the life we live. It will be 10 years this October that my mother passed away. My mother, through most of her life, had a great zeal for life. She had this panache for living, which was infectious and often made me question my lack of a similar enthusiasm. I often looked at life with the lens that seemingly lacked gratitude and was always wanting. It all changed though when she passed away. With her last breath, she gave me the inheritance of looking at life her way. My life, thoughts, and outlook changed, and so did I, maybe for the better. It was, of course, not immediate, but over time, I have only gained a greater appreciation for looking at things her way. As someone who loved and lived life so much, she had a fairly short time with it. But in her memory and to celebrate the life she lived, I often find myself living and appreciating life like she did. While learning Korean, as I often do, I learned a new term, sowakkeng. Put simply, it means small but definite joys, maybe akin to small joys with the added bonus of surety. For example, learning languages can be a sowakkeng for someone, since the chances of finding beautiful words such as Sowaking are always aplenty. My quest for living life the way my mother did made me contemplate more about this particular word. When you are a child, happiness comes in various shapes and forms. Sometimes, as it was in my case, it comes in the form of a potato, which has captured your attention. Other times, it can be seeing your mother's face and her smile after a perceptibly harrowing first day at school. Yet, on some occasions, it can be the comfort of the bed after a terrible day at the office. It is often uncertain but joyous nonetheless. As I became more of an adult and had to deal with the many facets of life, with each passing minute, I realized that the small things which can unexpectedly bring joy to you diminish over time. And the responsibility of creating these guaranteed moments of joy falls squarely on your shoulders. If unattended, in today's fast life, these can cease to exist over time, leaving you feeling quite hollow. As an adult, I think you have to work more actively to create your own happiness. It is definitely a difficult process when the world only seems to want to wear you down, especially on the days when everything seems to go wrong. Having a Soak King can tremendously turn the day around. Of course, like anything else of value, this isn't something that instant gratification can solve. You need to build a muscle for it, like you do at the gym to get your first pull up. I believe that it is only with repeated practice that these things come to materialize. So, what exactly can be a Sowaking? I'm sure you must be thinking at this point in the video if you've stayed on. I think this depends to some extent on your state of mind and how big or small does something need to be for you to derive joy from it. There is obviously an aspect of gratitude of being able to experience it. It also, of course, has to mean something for you, either in the form of evoking an emotion or tying up with your identity or a purpose that you're following. I suppose it also has to be something that you know for certain will give you a guaranteed joy with a relatively high guarantee of it materializing. And lastly, but maybe not exhaustively, there should be a novelty factor to it. If I had to take an example, I am a huge lover of early mornings. I love waking up before the sun is up and then watching the sun rise as I sip on my tea. Now, it is guaranteed that the sun will rise every day, right? It is also helps that the sunrise is guaranteed and the sight will be beautiful and make me happy by making me feel comforted. And lastly, I feel that sunrises are underappreciated versus sunsets. So in my head, that gives them a novel factor. Let's take another example that I often talk passionately about: language learning. Maybe this is something that will resonate with a lot of people, but whenever you're learning something, there's this great aha moment whenever you're able to recall something, or specifically in the case of language learning, use grammar or vocabulary that you have learned earlier within the correct context. I am no better than anyone else, right? And so it's the same for me. Language learning also aligns well with my own perceived identity of myself, a lifetime student. Additionally, the more you learn, the more there is to learn, which always provides not just a factor of novelty, but also guaranteed joy from the said learning. It definitely makes me feel smarter and also gives me awe about being able to look into the minds of the people whose language I am learning. When it comes to novelty, of course, this is personal. As someone who spent a lot of time wanting to learn languages but never actually had the time to commit to it because of work, having the opportunity to pursue language learning feels like a luxury that I am grateful for. I think the most important byproduct of this practice of sowaking is that you end up developing a sort of gratitude for the things you are able to enjoy and appreciate life for the many things it has to offer. In a world with increasingly polarizing viewpoints and very little patience or respect for fellow humans, appreciating life and treating it with respect can help bridge this distance that we have cultivated and propagated over the years. In a world where inequality rules the roost, with the richest hoarding the most resources, maybe a society that practices Sowa King can actually be rooted in internal happiness rather than the relentless pursuit of profit. And just maybe, we may be able to create the next generation that has greater appreciation for not just ourselves, but also those around them. Sowa King can come in a multitude of forms, as I have realized. It can be making or eating a tasty dish. Sometimes it can be an evening spent with friends at home, chatting about a variety of topics, or while watching the sunset and appreciating the vivid colors. Sometimes it can simply be a clean and tidy bed. At other times, it can be moments when you look back on fond memories and feel the tinge of nostalgia. It can be a quiet meal enjoyed with your parents. Yet at times it rears its head when you are reading a piece of literature that really moves you and you're just grateful to have the experience of reading it. It can take various forms of not only the action that you can perform in its pursuit, but also in the range of emotions it can elicit. And in that itself is the beauty that Soa King holds and something that I hope everyone gets to experience. Making this piece is very enjoyable. As you know, I have been working on improving my skills with painting, drawing flowers. In fact, that is one of my goals for this year, and this painting was a good segue into that effort. I view this piece as a continuation of the work and thinking that I started with the weight of my own thoughts, whereupon I continue to build a life around me filled with small but definite joys. Um, the painting is now complete, and in its creation, it was my own Soaking, I'd like to think. Please enjoy the rest of the video as I finish this painting. I hope you enjoyed both watching this video of the painting process as well as my thoughts on 2025, 2026, as well as Soaking. I would love to hear your thoughts on these topics and what you guys are thinking about 2025, 2026, especially about the creative aspects of life and how you're thinking about building out your own Sowa King in 2026. Please let me know in the comments. I would love to know what you guys are thinking, and see you for the next video again.